Okay, seriously, if you're going to have a car quote-unquote dustless blasted, do it someplace you don't need to clean up. It literally took me a week or more to get this driveway back in order. And yeah, the wife wasn't too happy about that. So yeah, here we go. This project has come a long way since I drug it home. It was stripped of all its parts, some patchwork completed, put on a rotisserie, and then blasted clean. I still have a long way to go, but looking back, it's really a motivating process. You can see how far you've come, and take the next step. Hey, look at that, NOS crest emblem. Yeah, that emblem was the start of my NOS obsession. Finding parts for these cars really is a challenge, and as a result, I relentlessly hunt NOS and other hard-to-find parts. But I digress. It was time to get into the real patching. This car needed 3 of the 4 floor pans replaced, as well as dozens of other patches. And it was starting to flash rust in a few spots, so I needed to get these patches completed. Once those patches were done, I'd be able to get this car sprayed in epoxy and sealed up for protection. I started with a number of small patches to build my skills and gain some confidence. I could see some improvement in my abilities, but I'm certainly not a pro. I needed a lot of practice, and I was about to get it. Remember my cowl access holes? Well, welded those up first. Those really helped get inside and clean up the issues inside that cowl. Next was a small patch in the floor, cut it to fit, tack, 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 throw the grinder at it, move on to the next one. Remember those small holes under the gas filler hole? Well, there's a seal in there, and well, that held moisture and resulted in this hole being rusted through. Cleaned it up after the blasting, cut a small patch, tack, 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 throw the grinder at it. I followed this process for a number of small patches, but rather than listen to me ramble on about what I did for each single patch, I decided a montage would be good here, so here we go. Now it's time for the floors. 3 of the 4 floor pans needed replaced, and no one, at least at the time, was making a replacement. Fortunately, the left rear pan from the donor Monza was good, so I cut that from the car and spliced it back into the formula. Yeah, the patch needed patches, but it worked out pretty well, and with the car on the rotisserie, I could actually weld it from the top and then roll it over and weld it from the bottom too. The right rear pan was actually made by my nephew. I think he was 13 at the time, and he did a really good job in making this pan. It would have fit good had I paid attention to what I was doing, but I welded it in a little bit high and had to cut and stretch it a bit. Whoops, but after I was all said and done, it fit pretty good. The left front pan was the worst by far. This is the driver's side pan. It really didn't look too bad until I started poking at it. It was really thin, needed to be cut out and replaced, so I'm pretty proud of how this pan came out. Every patch I made started out with just a basic cardboard template, and then I transferred that to steel and made it from that. I don't have any fancy tools. I basically made all these patches with a $50 Harbor Freight brake, a chunk of railroad track that I used as an anvil, and a framing hammer, but they came out pretty good. Once I had all 3 floor pans placed, I seam sealed the edges, painted the whole floor with a coat of Rust-Oleum for protection, and it was looking pretty good. Then it was time for the big cowl repair. This is really the spot that I figured would be my biggest challenge yet in this car. I looked at it for a while, cut some of it out, came up with a game plan, and I figured I would just replace one plate at a time until I rebuilt it from the inside out, and really, it worked great. It came out really nice. So, enough of me rambling. Here's a little montage of the big cowl repair. So this video had some background music, and I was afraid YouTube would, strike me down for having it in the background, so I decided to overdub it. But this was a video I did of the car, probably halfway through the patching process. And I just kind of walked around and showed where I patched. There's the cowl patch that we did, and the bottom of the cowl patch, and the cowl access holes. Floors were all done at this point, and Rust-Oleumed. I actually seam sealed the edges there too, so floors were done. Quarter patch here. This is the driver's side quarter patch. Crawl under the car here, and you can see where I repaired those torque boxes, put those back together. See some of the floor pans that I welded back in. I welded them in from the top and the bottom where I could. And we'll walk around the back. Floors are all done in there, and we still have work to do on this side, so this will be later on in the video, but that was the last big patch I had to do. Wheel lip patches, I should have did that in one fell swoop, and I did it in a bunch of little patches. I probably should have did that in one big patch, but rocker patches needed, and this obviously needed to be repaired. Got to weld in the other cowl patch hole there, but yeah, that's about it. Lola, the cattle dog. Big scaredy cat. I had to roll the formula out so I could clean the damn garage. It's filthy in here. A little bit more progress. Coming along. Patched most of my wheel lip. Just waiting on a buddy to send a piece of quarter here. Rolled it out and blew it off too. It's covered with dust. Can't wait to get this damn thing a primer. Little formula update. So yeah, this is the last spot to fix, right? Got a dent, had a lot of crust. Don't know how I would really make that marker light hole. So, fortunately, the H-body community is a bunch of great people. And looky what I got. What's in the box? Oh, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow's head. It's a chunk of quarter panel from Mr. Rick Rothamel. Can't thank you enough, Rick. This is going to really help me get this car finished patched. So, great dude. Thank you very much. And I'll keep you updated on the progress. Peace. could have made this video a lot longer, but I like to keep these to about 10-15 minutes. Anything longer than that seems just crazy. There were a lot of patches needed on this car, as you can see. I think I did okay for a guy that's never done this before, and I'm pretty happy with the work that I did. Could it have been better? Yeah, sure, but I'm still learning here, so I'm learning something new at every turn in this project. Once all the patching was done, I bought several cans of this Eastwood internal frame seal. According to Eastwood, this special aerosol spray is both a rust preventative and a rust destroyer formula rolled into one. Phenolic resin encapsulates the rust hiding inside the chassis so it doesn't rust its way through and destroy the frame from the inside out. Once this is completed, zinc phosphate seals the frame against additional rust. Thanks, Eastwood. Yeah, this stuff works pretty good. It was pretty runny, but with the nozzle that was on there, it sprays 360 degrees essentially when you stick the hose in every little hole. And I coated everything that I could find a opening to. I stuck that hose in there and sprayed it. The car was finally ready for epoxy primer, and that will be next time on Sunbird Garage. Thanks for watching.